go on a linear rate.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
No, it does not.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it
not.
does. Absolutely, it does.
Absolutely not.
Obstruction, is it a linear rate?
The Earth curve calculator, all the things we know about from a certain distance away, all they correlate with that. So it correlates with the Earth curve calculator, which assumes what you call a cumulative drop, which is just the curvature of the Earth.
It assumes the curve calculator assumes an Earth radius. It's a begging the question fallacy. It's already honest here the moment you start using it.
It corroborates any observation you make. It's corroborated by that. So
it already assumes a sphere.
And it correlates with observations.
Who cares? It's already got the assumption of a sphere. You don't need to. Sorry. Why are you rumpusing this? Why are you rumpusing? The show's been on for 2 minutes.
I'll refer you to Ranty's video from yesterday, Rumpus. Go and have a look at that, mate. In actual fact, go and look at Ranty's, all of his videos. It completely destroys everything that you've just said.
He's got some strange observations in some strange atmospheric conditions that do show more due to
David footage.
Come on, let
me finish. In some conditions, I mean, Anthony, for instance, had that observation of the Isle of Man, which I'm still haven't done this hangout about, but I've got the document nearly finished. He observed the same thing that Ranty did, where he was able to, from being 3 meters off the surface of the water, he was able to see things that were actually able to see.
Were they looming up over the curve? Were they?
Right,
3 meters. Don't be ridiculous. It was about 3 feet max.
No, I'll be proving it to you, Anthony, in that video.
All right.
And the refract and the conditions he was in, which were shown by the meteorological conditions that Philip and I were able to obtain, he was able to. Hold on, don't interrupt.
Wasn't this your promise from 4 months ago?
It was, yeah.
Wasn't this your promise from 4
months? That's right. Yes,
where is it?
Telling us about.
When are you going to do it?
Sorry,
it's turned into a bit of a monster.
The question on the table is: are there any signs of curvature? So, can you show us a sign of curvature? I mean, we've got observations like the one on screen of Isle of Man in the distance. So, Arwin's pointed out there's no accumulative drop. So, what is your example of curvature?
It correlates exactly with the curvature.
Sorry, what is this example?
Well, you've got one on screen that demonstrates it wonderfully.
How does this demonstrate curvature?
Because the base of the far distant wind turbines are well below the horizon. That's not possible on a flat Earth, and only possible.
It is. It's down to the viewing angle. So a limitation in the viewing angle will cause things to obstruct bottom up.
No, it won't. No.
Sorry, don't just deny the fact that we have a limitation of an angle at distance, and that angle will cause things to disappear through angular limitation.
No such thing.
Right.
Excuse me?
Gibberish.
That's just a hand wave dismissal. So as you view out into the distance, you see things based on the angle of attack. That's not a hand wave dismissal statement from Rumpus. That's a fact. You don't have to like it because your calculator ignores all aspects of perspective and assumes a radius. That doesn't fuss me. Doesn't change the fact that you still have a viewing angle to things.
Use your eyes, Rumpus. How can I believe a word you say?
Say again, sorry.
How you don't even know how your eyes work, Rumpus. How can I believe a word?
Exactly how they work. I know exactly how they work.
You don't understand viewing function. You don't understand perspective. You don't understand areas of function. You deny them.
Okay.
And then
Hold on. So I don't understand perspective. Could you give me the formula for perspective, please?
Oh, here we go again.
Rumpus. I'll say it again just one more time. Let's get it back on track. Sorry, guys.
This is what you're talking about.
Sorry, Rumpus. Please don't Rumpus the hangout. Rumpus.
Obstruction
The question on the table.
Scientifically.
The question. Sorry, Arwin. For the love of God, I'm trying to get control of the hangout, Arwin. That doesn't mean join in the rumpusing. So the question on the table is any signs of
Rumpus just for that. Yeah, well done.
or Rumpus because he wasn't taught.
Guys. The question on the table is any signs of Earth curvature, Rumpus?
Yeah, and that picture you were just showing with wind turbines is proof of the curvature of the Earth.
Sorry, it wasn't showing the Earth curve. Sorry, Rumpus. You're claiming the obstruction is caused by curvature, and you use Rumpus one more time. And you use a begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective omitting curve calculator to prove that the obstruction, not Earth curve, is a correlation with Earth curve. So I'm asking, have you got any evidence of actual Earth curve?
The photograph you had, the wind turbines.
No, that had obstruction that was
Caused by
not
the Earth curve.
that was not accumulative, as pointed out by Arwin. Again, you gave a hand wave dismissal.
I can give you the formula if you like. I can tell you exactly. If you give me a distance,
you're not listening.
I'll tell you how much is obscured.
You're not listening. I want you to present your evidence of Earth curvature.
Okay. All right. Let me just get hold on, bloody.
Oh, is it gonna be side view of a globe? Is it?
Hello, Bob. How you doing?
Oh yeah.
Hi. What about Bob?
Oh, this is, by the way, this is Anthony. This is a bit of the document.
Hello. What about Bob? How you doing?
Whoa, he didn't even use a globe. That's
Hold on, we haven't got there yet.
Hello. What
we
about
haven't
Bob?
got there. I knew it.
Arwin, shut up. Hello. What about Bob? How you doing?
Hey, can you hear me all right?
I can just about hear you.
Hello,
Let's turn you up. Good to have you.
It's great exercise in cognitive dissonance. Listening to Rumpus. And that's about all it is.
So what you have on screen now, Rumpus, is a demonstration of the limitation of the angle of a tack. You will lose things from bottom up because of the limitation of your viewing angle. That is what causes bottom up obstruction, not earth curve. I also observed that you have a perfectly straight line that doesn't also demonstrate any curve. There's no curve in this.
How far do you think? How many miles?
You're just stuttering. The obstruction in this picture is caused by the viewing angle.
No such thing.
Yes, there is absolutely a viewing angle to anything you view ever. You always have a viewing angle to everything. Rumpus says you don't because he ignores the viewing angle in his begging the question, perspective hijacking, proof of nothing, curve calculator that already has a radius inside it. So it's not useful for proving anything at all.
Well, it uses existing body of verified knowledge.
Sorry, let's just play that video again. Do I really have to do this every time you say that you're using the existing body of knowledge rather than just admitting, like you have done before, don't rumpus me, that you have to presume it? So using the presumption of a sphere in the begging the question... Don't rumpus. Right, I'm going to have to kick you out, rumpus. You can't help yourself.
Well, you don't let me answer.
Have you got Tourette's?
You don't let me answer.
Have you got Tourette's?
You don't let me answer.
Have you got Tourette's?
You don't let me answer.
Have you got Tourette's?
You don't let me
Have you got Tourette's?
Have you the one?
Have you got Tourette's? Have you got Tourette's?
Have you got Tourette's? You seem to be repeating yourself, not me.
You're an idiot, and I am going to demolish this. So this is caused by a limitation of your viewing angle, which will cause the bottom section of these turbines to disappear from bottom up. The bottom section has a smaller angle than the top section. I have given this example on several occasions. If a person was stood there and you backed away from them and they removed their shoes, eventually their shoes would be too small to see. The angular size of those shoes would not be visible. They would disappear as you backed away from them. However,
correct. Well done.
However, without Rumpus admitting that I am correct, and you will lose things from bottom up due to the viewing angle, which is precisely what I am demonstrating in my example. He likes rumpusing, but he won't get to here. The reason these turbines disappear is because the bottom section is like the shoes. They eventually disappear through a limitation of their angular size, and that is caused by the viewing angle. Now, that's not to say that if somebody went and put those shoes on, you wouldn't have an increased viewing angle to the taller person than the shoes. The shoes would still be gone, like the bottom of these turbines are gone, due to the viewing angle.
If I stood on my head with the top stuff...
I don't care about your stupid example. My example obliterates this as an assertion of Earth curve when using a begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective omitting curve calculator.
If I turn the camera
upside down,
proves
nothing. Unless you automatically assume you are on a sphere, using a begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective omitting curve calculator, this example will never prove any Earth curve. This is not an example of Earth curve, Rumpus.
This is just gibberish times 10.
Oh, you're just getting very high-pitched. This is not an example of Earth curve.
It's hilarious how much gibberish you're spouting here. You don't understand anything about optics. You don't know anything about perspective.
Yeah, I do. Your calculator ignores it entirely. Every single measurement you put in will be an actual size and not an angular size. Your calculator doesn't deal with angular sizes of things. It only deals with actual sizes of things. So when you say that a certain... Yeah, I know it's correct. You don't have to keep confirming what I'm saying, Rumpus. I know I'm right. Yeah? I'm also right when I say the viewing angle is what causes these things to disappear from bottom up. Sod all to do with Earth curve. This isn't an example of Earth curve. The only way you can extrapolate this out to be an example of Earth curve is if you use a begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, curve calculator that has already assumed you're on a sphere to begin with. So it's not a proof of sphere.
Viewing operations. The calculators are not trying to create an image, therefore they do not have to...
Yeah, we're not trying to create calculator images. We've got a picture on screen. And I can tell you unequivocally that the reason they disappear from bottom up is the same reason someone's shoes would disappear if you backed away from them. Once they disappear, it doesn't mean that someone can't walk across to those shoes, put them on and be seen. Their shoes will still be gone, like the bottom of these turbines are gone, because of the angle of attack. That's what causes things to disappear bottom up. Nothing to do with your begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, curve
the
calculator.
Bottom of the shoes gets
at
smaller,
a linear
and
rate
disappear in the same
the
way.
distance.
That's not what's happening.
Linear
here.
relation to the distance.
Shoes disappear.
Once obstruction starts,
the
the
shoes
drop
disappear the same
of
way.
the bottom.
These are not doing the same as your shoes. These are
How much
disappearing
longer?
bottom
Who
first.
votes we kick him out? He hasn't
The
stopped talking the entire
obstruction,
time.
and it
Should we
starts
just
to
kick him
set
out?
in.
Who votes we kick him out? He's just not stopped rumpusing the
I
entire hangout.
do. I vote we kick him out.
He hasn't stopped talking the entire time.
I wasn't talking then.
He denies
The drop-
absolutely anything you say to him, Nathan. Just kick him out.
You don't like the facts.
He's been
Do you want to sense the reality again?
obstruction,
I don't
once
think
it
this is speaking
starts,
Rumpus if I could.
it drops
Okay.
at a
Anthony's been
linear
trying to ask me a
rate in
question for 10
relation to
minutes.
the distance.
I think we should get make 4 in. Let's get make 4 in.
He
Get
is.
Rumpus out, get make 4 back in.
What's up?
I'm just saying we should talk to somebody who's not going to be rumpusing.
Well, you don't like facts. You don't like to sense reality. You want a sense of reality, don't you? That's what you want.
What, like the curve calculator censors perspective and only gives you things that are not performing viewing functionality? That sort of censorship.
I didn't hear
Rumpus,
who was someone else
Rumpus, let me ask you a question. You said if you stood on your head, would the tops of the turbines disappear, correct?
That's correct. It's because Nathan has some strange idea.
No, I don't need you to explain anything. I asked you a question. Is that correct?
That is correct. Nathan's weird understanding.
Okay, stop
Doesn't need an
talking.
assertion about me
Stop
either.
talking.
Well, you
My next question is, Rumpus, I want you to answer your own question. If you stand on your head, would the tops of the turbines disappear? Now, you need to analyze the picture and tell me what the difference is between your question and the reality that we're looking at with the turbines, because you can answer your own question, Rumpus.
No, they wouldn't. That's what invalidates Nathan's the reasoning.
Why wouldn't it? Why?
Because it has the lens and the optics have no preference for up and down or left or right. You can turn the camera upside down. You can be upside down. Doesn't make any difference. Nathan's idea that somehow bottom...
So when you ask if I'm upside down on my head, your question has no relevance. It makes no difference. So asking if I'm on my upside down head, as an example, is pointless.
Plan you're looking at.
Totally pointless.
I didn't hear any.
Yeah, your example about being on your head makes no difference. So it's just a red herring, pointless example of nothing.
Well, you were claiming that the optics do something special going down.
No, we have a viewing angle. I don't claim the optics do something if you turn the bloody camera upside down. That's a red herring.
So what are you claiming is special that the optics are doing?
Nothing special. You just have a viewing angle to everything you see ever.
Okay, Nathan.
Yes, okay, Nathan. Excellent. Thank you, Rumpus. Yes, we have a viewing angle to everything we see. And as you back away from things that are small, they disappear due to their angular size. Now, if that was a pair of shoes, you'd back away from those shoes and they'd eventually disappear. Then your mate goes and puts those shoes on and you can see him. You still can't see his shoes in exactly the same way you can't see the bottom of those turbines. It is down to the angular relationship with the bottom of those turbines. Sod all to do with assuming Earth curve and using a begging the question calculator.
Look at some shoes and see if they disappear from the bottom up as you move a few hundred yards away and they can't see them.
Not a few hundred yards. Are you telling me these photographs are taken a few hundred yards away?
The example you gave.
Sorry, are these photos taken at a few hundred yards?
The example you gave.
Excuse me. Are your photos taken a few hundred yards away?
The example you gave with shoes, and you said that if you go away, move further away, that they disappear.
Yeah, you move further away and the angular size of those shoes will eventually be breached and you will lose them. They will disappear. So you can't see the shoes anymore, they're too small through an angular size limitation. But then your mate goes over and he puts them on. And what do you know? You can still see your mate, but you can't see his shoes because they're still in that limited angle. The angle of attack is what causes...
The shoes don't disappear from the bottom up, do they?
Yeah, they do. They disappear, you back away from them, and eventually they're too small to see. You could do the example with something even smaller, like a fly. You could back away from a fly, and eventually it'd be too small to see.
But not...
Yes, so things get too small to see. But that doesn't change the fact that if the shoes or the fly are too small to see through angular limitation, something with a bigger angle can be seen.
Not from the bottom up, Nathan.
Yeah, from the bottom up. So I put my shoes on, I back away from them. The shoes will be on the horizon as I back away from them. And when they disappear through an angular limitation, the size is too small. They disappear on the horizon as I back away from them. Now you can lie and obfuscate and claim that angles aren't important and don't take place in reality. That's because you're a muppet. You're a perspective denier. You're an R-believing, R-worshipping zealot who has a perspective-omitting, proof-of-nothing curve calculator.
They don't disappear from the bottom up, though, do they?
Yeah, they do. Your shoes would disappear through an angular size limitation, and then your person, your mate, goes and puts them on. And because he is taller, you have a wider angle to him.
Do the shoes disappear from the bottom up, please?
Yes, they do. Yes, they would absolutely disappear from the bottom up. Yes, that's absolutely correct. They would disappear through a angular limitation. Eventually, they'd vanish. Your mate puts the shoes on, and his shoes have gone. So your mate is disappearing from the bottom up.
So do the shoes disappear from the bottom up as you move away from them, Nathan?
Yeah, they disappear through angular size, the same way as if you back away from a fly, as you conceded twice. Yes, eventually things become too small to see through angular size limitations. So yes, you back away from the shoes and eventually they disappear. Then your mate puts them on and he can be seen, his ankles can be seen, but the shoes cannot. Therefore, the mate has disappeared from bottom up. It's very simple. You can deny it and now start claiming, oh, the shoes disappearing bottom up. No, but your mate looks like he's disappeared from bottom up when he puts the shoes that have disappeared on through their angular size limitation. And it's the same with the turbines. The ones in the background, the bottom section has a more limited angle than the ones in the foreground.
From the bottom up, Nathan.
I didn't hear you.
Could I please?
Could I please have an answer?
Rumpus,
simple
just
question.
Go back
I'd like to ask one question. Do the shoes disappear from the bottom up? Yes or no?
They vanish through angular size limitations. I've said it on multiple occasions. You back away and you'll see 1 pixel, then you'll see no pixels. As you get further away, they will disappear. Then someone comes along and puts the shoes on. And they, because they have an increased angle, can be seen. The shoes, however, don't suddenly come back into view. Their angular size at the horizon is still too small to see. So no, the shoes don't disappear bottom up, but the mate who's just put them on demonstrates that the guy looks like he's disappeared bottom up, the same as the turbines.
So the shoes do disappear from the bottom up, do they?
Yeah, they do. Obstruction is what it does. Obstruction obstructs the bottom first.
Hold on. So if I move as I move away from shoes that I can see on a flat, let's imagine we're in a big hall or something on a flat floor on say a hotel.
Have you seen that?
Sorry, he's limiting the size of the distances that we're seeing things at. So we're taking pictures at miles. Now he wants to confine it into the hall of some hotel.
So the shoes.
So yeah. So you back away from the shoes, and eventually you can see 2 pixels of the shoes. They're almost too small to see. Then you back away a bit further, and they become 1 pixel because they're just that small. Then you back away a bit further, and they disappear completely. They've gone. They've disappeared. They've vanished. Then your mate puts the shoes back on, and you can see his ankles and his knees and his body. But you still can't see his shoes at that distance because they're too small to see.
Do they disappear from the bottom up?
Yes, it's called diffraction.
Yeah, he does. So the shoes have already disappeared, in my example. You've backed away until they've vanished. Their angular size is too small to see. Then a guy puts them on, and he has disappeared from the bottom up because his shoes still can't be seen. But he's taller than the shoes. You've got a wider angle of view to the guy. So the guy has disappeared from bottom up.
Right.
Right. Yes, that's right. It's all about the angle, Rumpus. Something your calculator ignores. Your calculator only deals in actual sizes of things.
So hold on. So you're claiming that if I have some shoes, I can clearly see them, no obstructions, there's no nice smooth surface on the ground, and I go backwards, the shoes will disappear from the bottom up, so I'll be able to see the top of the shoe.
Eventually they will disappear through an angular size limitation. That's step one. I'm not saying the shoes will disappear from bottom up. I'm saying the shoes will disappear. They will go down to 2 pixels as you back away from them. You will only see 2 pixels of them. In the same way as on this boat, we can't see people at all. They're too small to see. But if it was an increase of size, we might be able to. So we're talking about things being too small to see. In this case, shoes. We back away from them and eventually they disappear. That's not to say that someone can go and put those shoes on and be seen, with the exception of their shoes, which have still disappeared through an angular size limitation. So they have, effectively, the person, not the shoes, disappeared from bottom up. Their shoes aren't there, their ankles aren't there, but you can still see them effectively disappearing from bottom up.